Hi everyone, this is again a guided message where I recently saw a video of a girl who is showing a clip that went viral where she was showing a clip related to her best friend and her boyfriend hugging each other. And if you look at the comments of that video, the comments show that there is a lot of subtle hinting people are doing in the videos, which whether she has picked it up or not is something that I'm still puzzled about. I feel she hasn't picked it up, and this lack of picking up of the subtle hints can happen to people for multiple reasons, which I will discuss maybe in the tail end of the video. But in that hugging of the boyfriend and the best friend, which was a very sweet gesture that was shown in the video, and the girl, the way she has made her video, it seems as if she is also very supportive of them having this beautiful bond, because who doesn't want everyone in their life to get along with everyone else, right? So if you have a boyfriend and a best friend and parents and siblings, and you are having a social gathering in ideal life circumstances, we all want everyone that we love to cohesively work with each other, to cohesively love each other and collaborate with each other and show the kind of love that is the beautiful kind of love. So having that attitude that this girl has is a very beautiful attitude she has when she is pleased with the fact that her boyfriend and best friend are so loving towards each other or caring for each other. But the reason why it's a controversial video, and there are so many people commenting on the video. Some are commenting, are they brother and sister? Some are saying they must be brother and sister. Some are saying she has said in another video that they are not brother and sister. Some are saying that I know they are brother and sister, but blah blah blah. And some are saying, red flag guy, where are you? And there's a red flag guy out there in the internet who makes memes of relationship red flags and green flags. Most of the time he does the memes related to, shows clips of videos where he will post a commentary on or make a very short precise discussion on commentary on why that issue is a red flag. And there are also, in the comment section, you will see all the other people who have written why it was a red flag, why it may not be a red flag, and things like that. But his red flag points are most of the time really on point and really something people should think about and reflect on why that is a red flag in a relationship. And likewise with this girl's video also, where she has recorded what the boyfriend and the best friend were doing, it is a potential red flag, irrespective actually of whether the boyfriend and the best friend are siblings or whether they are just simply friends who met because of the girlfriend that they have in common. In either case, it is a red flag, and I will explain that why in a minute. In Hopefully, I'll be able to explain it in the right way. In my previous video about twin flames, I showed that video where the cup of love that we pour into a joint relationship, how the pouring of love in that cup, joint cup of love, was imbalanced in the image I have shown in my previous video. And that imbalance is there because the person who was pouring the blue cup of love, the blue emotions, for them the lesser of the emotions were being poured, whereas the one who was pouring the reddish pinkish emotions or brownish, depending on how you're noting that color, it was a mixture of all these three colors. So that cup of love's pouring is now that other shade of love that the other cup was pouring was a larger pouring of love. But while there was this imbalance in love, which will tend to normally happen in many of our relationships, that in that previous video I've mentioned that during different phases and stages of our relationship with someone, the level of love we might be pouring into our joint, mutual relationship, which could be a brother sister relationship, which could be a father daughter relationship, which could be two couples dating each other relationship, it could be a husband wife relationship, it could be of any relationship you even have with strangers, every relationship that we have on earth with any other human being has this basic principle and tenet of karma that you have to follow when you are which is an unspoken karma, which is a karma you have to intuitively understand as you are leading life on earth, or which you might take couple of lifetimes to understand if you are a unawakened soul or a new soul who doesn't know what these experiences mean or haven't had a context in life to understand what these experiences mean. And the people who are commenting on this girl's video about the red flag in her relationship or a potential red flag, or debating whether it is a red flag or not, or trying to hint her to get towards the right conclusion, aren't understanding that possibly this girl has either had no context of such red flags occurring in her life, or she views life with a particular lens where it is difficult for her to even perceive something that we all otherwise are perceiving that she is unable to see. And in some very very rare cases, if hypnosis or drugging was going on with a person, and or hypnosis led drugging was going on, sometimes even if we see a red flag in front of us and consciously our conscious soul would have recognized that red flag, because of our rose colored glasses or drugging or hypnosis, sometimes a person will not be able to perceive what is very evident to other people. So what is going on with that girl, I don't know. I feel most likely what is going on is that she's having a red colored rosy glasses about her relationship picture that she has about her boyfriend. Because I saw another video of the two together, and in that video you can see very evidently that she is pouring all her love into this guy. She actually literally adores this guy. You can feel it energetically from her aura, the level and depth at which she really truly loves this guy. But while she is ready to pour a lot of love, she's like the pinkish cup where she's pouring, pinkish reddish cup that is pouring a lot of love into their joint mutual cup of love that they can build as a couple. They are meant to build as a couple if they want to have a stable, good, balanced, long term relationship in their life. So she is doing the right thing principally based on the principles related to what a long-term healthy balanced relationship should have. That is, in a long-term healthy balanced spousal relationship that anyone wants to build with their partner, we have to give our 100% love, or as much love as we feel for that person. That love should be expressed from our end. That is the basic tenet of love, principle of love, that if you have love for someone, you pour that love, you show that love, you feel that love, you express that love. In fact, love is such a force driving element of nature that you can't help but showing that love towards someone, right? But while you are pouring that beautiful, while she's pouring that beautiful rosy colored love, pink colored love into the cup of mutual love that she feels for her boyfriend, the cup of mutual love that she feels she is building with her boyfriend because she loves him, she feels very mutually very very close to this human being, she adores this human being, she likes some characteristics about this human being which makes her love this human being at a great extent. But because our life is a complex life, because we may have past life karma with someone, because there might be some higher purpose for some difficult experiences to unfold in our life, at that moment of time, what happens is, while she or any other woman or any other man who loves their partner or boyfriend at a deeper level do end up pouring a lot of this pink cup of love into their joint mutual cup of love that they want to build with their partner. At that point of time, if their partner doesn't feel about them that same level of love, is not ready to accept their love, is dating them simply because they love the affection that is getting poured on them, but they are not yet mature enough or conscious enough to understand that while unconditional love is a very beautiful thing, while love by itself is actually a unconditional experience in some levels, but there is still a conditionality that is always inherently present in every love, and that conditionality, which should occur automatically and spontaneously from your soul and can't be forced from another soul, but is a basic principle that is needed to balance life on earth, balance life with a partner, make a partnership or love relationship a really enriching relationship. And what is that basic tenet? That basic tenet is like how she's pouring a lot of pink love into their cup of love. He's meant to pour a lot of blue love into that cup of love at the equal level, equitable level, balanced level, so that their cup of love never goes empty, so that their cup of love keeps building and enriching itself, so that both of their different ways of loving, different ways of looking at life, different ways of caring for each other creates this mutual cup of love with a mixed, purple kind of love will be forming in that cup when a pink color and a blue color gets mixed. And that purple kind of love, that violet energy of love that is meant to be created, can be created in a more balanced and beautiful shade when you are pouring a clean energy of love, clean intentions are present in your love, when your intentions are focused at equal level towards each other, then only that balance can be created, right? If I am only focusing, and which is what is happening in this relationship, in that second video I saw that the girl is pouring a lot of love into their mutual cup of love into him, onto him. Actually she's pouring it onto him, but part of it is about loving him, but part of it is also about building a life with him and pouring into their mutual cup of love that is that is not seen by us visibly in life, but there is this mutual cup of love that is being built subtly in the background and can be built only if both are pouring equally to it. Otherwise that mutual cup of love doesn't exist, and instead what starts happening is all the love that she's pouring is falling and showering on her partner, but her partner not being ready to receive her love. You will see in some of these in the second video, he's a little subtly distancing himself whenever she's showering too much love on him, or he is also subtly whenever she's adorably looking at him, he doesn't look at her with that same level adoration or same level depth is not present in his eyes when he is seeing her, which means she is seeing him with a lot of rose colored glasses, and she is seeing him with she's seeing possibly a higher version of him that is possible for them to exist together in a mutual loving relationship. But the version of him that she's perceiving in that relationship doesn't actually exist in the relationship, because he's not there in that stage. So he's not there to love her in the way that will balance this relationship. So when she pours everything on him, he's either rejecting it and most of her love is getting wasted on him, or if he's accepting it, he's accepting only the bits and pieces that are advantageous to him. So isn't it advantageous? Like, haven't women and men experienced relationships where they have had girlfriends where if the girlfriend says let's buy a new car, he will go and buy a new car. If the girlfriend says let's go and get a new house, he will go and get the new house for her. If she says she wants to go and eat XYZ dinner, he will do it. Constantly he will keep doing it, where the man is now pouring a lot into the relationship, feeding into the demands of the girlfriend. But it will become again, it will be a mutual cup of love when if he asks her, if she asks him let's get a car, and he's paying majorly for the car or completely for the car, she's also doing something for him. It will be balanced then. At that time when he's paying for the car, she might be paying for the house, if they are both earning. If they are not both earning, one is a stay-at-home wife or partner who is dependent financially on the boyfriend because maybe she's studying and he has a job as he's older than her. At that time, because she doesn't have a job or she has a very minimum wage job, while she may not be buying an expensive thing like a car or investing on expensive purchases, she can still pour into their mutual cup of love by doing what? what? By ensuring that whatever spending they do, it's not frivolous spending. That could be how she financially contributes, that the car that they are asking is beneficial to both of them. It's not that if she says let's buy a car, and that car is if it is going to be majorly used by the boyfriend, or hardly ever used by the girlfriend, even though she demanded it, it was getting used by the man only. So then at that time, was she asking him to do something that would help him out, or was she selfishly asking something for herself? She was asking him to get it so that it will help him. Or if it is something, a car that was bought, and then both of them are using it equitably or equally, like he takes it for 8 hours while he goes to work, and she uses it for 4 hours while she goes to night school, or they alternate using it every other day, something like that, if it is unfolding in their life. Or where whatever it is, where equitable usage is happening, where she gets to drive it also equitably, then yes, he has indeed purchased this for her. But again, has he purchased it just for her, or has he purchased it for the mutual benefit of their relationship, mutual convenience related to each other, mutual life now they are building towards each other? Because while they are dating now in college life, it is possible that after another 5 years they will also get married. So they're building a future where in a married life also, if one partner works and the other doesn't work, the one who is working works and gets professionally paid, the person who is working and getting professionally paid is contributing towards the finances, because his work involves professional payment. Whereas the one who is not getting professionally paid, is she also doing some work? Of course she will be doing some work. She will be caretaking in the home life, she'll be managing the finances given to her. Like if he gets a salary also of, let's say, $5,000 a month, in that $5,000 a month salary, 1,000 he might be spending on himself for his own needs, a couple of thousand he might be investing somewhere for his future or their future, depending on how generous he is. And then he's giving her 2,000 for spending. But is she spending that? If she's a selfish girlfriend who is only a taker, what she will be doing, and who's not pouring equitably in the cup of love, the 2,000 that she gets, all of it she will be spending on herself, for her makeup, for her good looks, for her body, for her fitness instructor, for eating dietary things that she needs to look thin. That is what she would be doing if she was a very selfish girlfriend. She would just keep taking money from him, right? And she would also not be likely contributing anything to housework, house chores, expecting always to eat expensive dinners outside, go out outside and have fun. So she will be expecting, sometimes also some of these girlfriends, they, like, while he could have given her 2,000, kept 1,000 for himself, and 2,000 could have been invested, but because they're eating outside so much, the rest of the 2,000, instead of getting invested, most of it is getting now used in expenses related to dating, having fun in life, fun activities, going on expensive trips and vacations. All these will be happening. And at that time, if a man feels strained, that he's always constantly trying to keep up with her expectation of, she wants this, she wants that, she wants all this from him, while he's working his really really hard at the workplace to get that money, all of it is getting used up, not in fruitful and balanced life experiences. Because while it is important to go out on dates, while it is important to have occasional vacations, while it is important to have occasionally go out partying with friends, while it is important to have a girlfriend who looks very hot and maintains her figure and takes care of her health, what is also equally important is that cup of love, where the man who's working hard, he needs rest also. While the girl is getting all the rest because she's not working, the girl is getting all the rest because she's hiring other people to do all the housework, she is eating outside all the time and not doing any house chores or any meaningful work to ensure anything in the house life is comfortable. Will that girlfriend you can tell is a selfish girlfriend, or is not equally pouring into their mutual cup of love girlfriend. If she's not doing household chores, she's recruiting everything to other people. If she's not meaningfully caretaking him, observing him when he's exhausted, listening to him when he says today he can't party, today he needs rest, or she's not observing him when he's saying that okay, we can't do this vacation right now, we might need to think about doing this vacation in a 6 months time because I don't have the money for it. Things like that, if that is unfolding in someone's life, that is now a truly unbalanced relationship where the man is pouring a lot in the cup of love related to their relationship. Whereas in any other circumstances or many other ideal circumstances of life, if the wife is not working and not this level, just keeping on taking from the partner, a equal cup of love would be formed in which relationship? In a relationship where the man indeed works hard, indeed is getting a salary of $5,000 a month, but he is getting rest also when he needs rest. When he speaks about rest, he's getting rest. When he doesn't speak about rest, the partner is attentive enough to understand when he needs rest and doesn't, and is supportive towards him. The partner is using the money he gives her not for her frivolous expenses, maybe some of it she uses for her beauty and makeup and healthcare related stuff, but she only uses it in a effective way, in a meaningful way, where she can let go of not having those expenses when he has financial crunch. Let's say he has a temporary job loss, and at that time if she's able to let go of her makeup, let go of her beauty and clothes, let go of buying something new, even if she needs a new shoe she may not buy it. These kind of things a person who's really caretaking, really understanding will do when you are having a financial crunch. When you don't have a financial crunch also, you are an equitable partner. You will not simply, like, if you know your partner only spends 1,000 for his purchases, and which by his purchases it could be his clothes, his computer, his phone, his paying something to his parents occasionally as a gift, or his spending on going and getting a drink in the office or eating lunch in the office. These are the spendings that he is doing. He's also not been very frivolous. The 1,000 that he spends is all normal life experiences that he's spending on. At that time also, she will not be spending many, and most women are like that. I have not met a woman who is in my life, I have not met any of those women who spend over frivolously on things just simply for themselves. They are usually, if they get the $2,000, they are a housewife, they will be spending the $2,000. Out of that, 1,000 will be spent in all their household expenses of paying the bill, paying the rent. 1,000, 1,500 will go towards that itself, and then in the $500 that might be left over, and in cooking and other expenses. Then if the cooking and other expenses are not getting paid in the rest of the money that they have, that she has been given, then she will insist that the man goes and buys some groceries. And this is about a budgeting thing. Like, if your family is expanding, if you earlier were only two people dating each other, at that time what expenses, maybe 1,000, 2,000 is sufficient for paying the bills and food and everything, groceries and everything. But if you have now a child into the mix, are you going to be able to do all of this within $1,500? No. And I used to live in Utah, where these are all normal expenses related to Utah. I used to have a salary like this in Utah, so I know what salary is needed to have a normal, comfortable life in a place like Utah. And being an Indian, I was not that into eating outside also, so I would hardly eat outside in the initial years when I didn't even have $5,000 salary, when I had hardly $1,000 salary. So when you have a $1,000 salary, you know how to live in a budget with it. I knew how to live in a budget with $1,000 salary. When I had $5,000 salary, I knew how to live in a budget with that. When I had no salary, I knew how to work with whatever savings I had. So this is what a equitable wife does. When she is not working, she will ensure that the burden of your finances is not simply you working outside and gaining a lot of money constantly, but they will ease your burden by ensuring that the spending is done effectively. That if you have given her 2,000 to spend on all household expenses, she will use it in the best way she can use. But if it is that earlier 2 years back or 10 years back, getting 1,500 from you or 1,000 from you was enough to manage all your expenses related to house needs, but now that is not enough because you have a baby and another 500 or extra 1,000 needs to be there in the finances. but you are not giving it to your wife, will your wife now be overburdened? And will both of you be overburdened if you don't understand that your mutual cup of love has now expanded to include not simply your and your wife's needs, but also your child's needs? And this is related to actually another video of another girl who also I will discuss in here, because apparently her case also needs to be discussed again, because that is she's also experiencing a unbalanced cup of love where people are actually assuming her to be a greedy, monetary, money hungry person because of one comment she made, when in fact she's not a greedy woman, when in fact she's a woman struggling with this expansion of the cup of love where her husband is not understanding that their mutual cup of love has expanded. Now, in that lady's case, what happened is she made a vent video about how much she hates her life, how much she hates her husband. And if you look at her nose is red, so she must have been really crying a lot before she made the video, or she got sunburnt because she might have been doing something, some chore outside in the sun, and she's sitting in her car and making this video, which means that she doesn't have a lot of privacy in her home life or a private space to talk about her personal problems. And because she's making a public video, it also means she doesn't have people in her life who understand the challenges she's going through, who are speaking with her to understand the challenges she's going through. And she said in that comment, the reason why she said she hates her husband, she's been married for 3, I assume that she said she's been married for 3 years. I was a little bit unsure about the way she structured her sentences, whether she hates her husband for the 3 years they have been married, or whether in the last 3 years of their marriage she has been hating him. This is not clear in that video. And she has also said they have been together for 10 or 12 years, which means if she has been married for 3 years and she's been hating the 3 years of their marriage, there is a reason for that, which I will discuss, which is already partly discussed in the previous part that I was explaining about the imbalanced cup of love. And the second, which I'll clearly explain now, giving her context and real life relationship issue. Like if she has been dating, if they have been together for 10 or 12 years, she said she's in her 30s, so she might have met him when she was a teenager. So she might have met him when they were in college, and when they were in college and they were dating each other, at that time they were both likely mutually studying and doing something that led them to meet each other. He could have been her senior, he could have been her teacher, he could have been a friend of a friend. Whatever is the experience, she must have met him when she was doing some graduate studies, I'm assuming that, right? And then after, while she was studying and finishing her studies, she must have met him, she must have dated him. And while I will assume, based on how she made the video, that it's only in the last 3 years that she has been married to him, because that seems like the most likely thing that has happened in their relationship. Because are there people who date each other for many years, and then after dating each other and having some financial stability, then they decide to get married? So either when the financial stability has happened, or when the women's biological clock ticking and other life factors means that now that you've dated for a few years, it's better that you get married, because you've been dating for so long, right? So you have already understood how much you can be together with each other, how much you love each other. At least you assume that you know this about each other, and that's why after dating for 5-10 years or even 8-10 years, some people then eventually get married. Or they could have got married because she's pregnant, because, and she mentioned a baby, that's why I'm assuming, and I don't know whether she has 1 child or 2 children, because in a 3-year marriage span you could easily have 2 children as well. And the way she looks very frazzled, she's makeup free, she doesn't look as if she's not the kind of woman who is spending any of her husband's finances on herself. You can just look at her physiognomy of her face and body itself to say that she doesn't use makeup, she doesn't have time to wear makeup. She is not the selfish kind to frivolously spend her husband's money on just selfish things. Whereas if you look at the comment section, she also said that she's staying in the relationship because of money. She said that I want to leave this marriage, but I can't leave because of money. And as soon as she has used this terminology that she can't leave because of money or finances, I don't know which exact word she used, but that thing triggered a lot of men. Which men? It has triggered those men, and they're all not just men, some women also got triggered, and they have all, started blaming her in those videos. And even the person who's, this is a commentary of like how the red flag guy makes videos, someone else has made a video about this girl. So that guy is, everyone is essentially blaming her for being a stupid woman and saying how much she hates her husband, or saying that she was in the relationship for money, not understanding her context at all. And I'm giving her context because I've been a woman like that, and being a woman like that, I know when she says she can't leave because of money, it's not because she was frivolously spending her boyfriend's money. So in the previous example where I gave, where an imbalanced cup of love is happening, where a girl is constantly demanding money from her spouse, constantly asking the spouse to take her here, take her there, do expensive activities, when he might be exhausted from work, he needs rest from work, he can't continuously keep working and working long hours at work to get that extra bonus for her to go for a vacation, where what the guy who is pouring a lot of love in that relationship needs is set the appropriate boundaries with the girlfriend, that the boundaries where he can tell her no sometimes, that if the car needs to be purchased, it has to be a car which is within their financial limits. Like if you are earning a $5,000 monthly salary, you can't expect to go and buy a Tesla or a Lamborghini or a Porsche, a really super expensive car, right? You have to buy a car according to your means. So while buying a car can be a suggestion for a girlfriend, and a girlfriend who's an equitable girlfriend will expect you to buy a car which is within your financial means to buy, whereas a girlfriend who is only looking out for herself will expect you to buy a car that is not within your financial means, will push you to buy a car that is above your financial pay grade to buy, and then you will be pressured to now pay for it because you bought it for your girlfriend and you thought that is the important thing. Because again, in like for me, when I or my ex were buying a car, we were both only earning 20,000, or not 20,000, I was earning 17,000 salary, he was earning 19,000 salary. Just because he came 1 year later and my university's policies for the same work that we used to do had changed. So because the policies had changed, I had a 17,000 salary, he had a 19,000 salary. My salary eventually also did increase to 19,000. So when we bought a car, at that time it was either a 17,000 or 19,000 salary. Both of us had similar salaries. Monthly we were getting a very similar paycheck with only about $100-$150 difference in our paycheck. And then because I had lived longer in US at that time, I had more money in my bank, more savings done from my 1 year extra living in US. As a result, because I had lived 1 year more than him in the US, I had more savings. As a result of which, when we went and bought a car, I paid more for the car, he paid less for the car, because I understood that he doesn't have the money to spend on this car as much as I have the money. So I paid 2/3 the money, he paid 1/3 the money. And then because we are not, foolish people who will just buy a car, we know we need a car. It was a lot of issues that led us to buying a car. But while we were buying that car, we were also not, neither of us were foolish enough to assume that we should buy a $20,000 or $30,000 new car, versus knowing that given our current budget, that 20,000 would take us a long time to pay off, right? When we don't even have that monthly salary to pay for a 20,000, 30,000 car. So neither of us thought of also buying any new cars. Instead, we ended up buying a used car which would be functionally good, and a car of a good quality brand, so that that car will last us longer, so that that car is much cheaper and was within like less than $5,000 in budget, right? So that was our budget. We didn't even want a 5,000. I think our budget was about 3,000. We paid a little bit more than 3,000 for this car, and I believe, but now I'm forgetting because this was a 25 years old experience. But we were neither greedy, and that's why we did it. And after that also, I didn't have a driving license while my boyfriend had a driving license. So he drove majority of time that car, and even though I paid majority for the car in the first year of our relationship, when we owned this car, and also when we were breaking up, we had a very toxic relationship, so we would break off also during the relationship. In all those phases, in the first 1 year of buying this car, he was the one who 90 to 99% used the car. I had zero ego when he was using the car, because at that time I loved him. At that time I was a fair human being. At that time I didn't have a driving license to drive a car or a purpose to drive a car. So if he needed to use the car, he used the car for all the things he needed to use it. Like I have already bought it, so it's already a cost I have invested in the relationship. And after buying it, within a few months of buying it, he broke off with me. In fact, within a few weeks of buying, he broke off with me. So I could easily accuse him of cheating on me, using me to buy a car where you made me pay for a car, and immediately after we bought the car, you have broken off with me. I can do that, right? But even I didn't do that, because I did love him, and I didn't think that he was using me. I didn't whether he was actually using me or not is something he has to decide. What he did, whether he consciously did the right thing or not, is his consciousness based choice now to understand whether he was a greedy person or he deliberately did all this, whatever it was, or it was just an impulsive thing that he couldn't have the relationship that he wants with me. He is not happy in the relationship we had, and the car was just a coincidental thing, could have happened. Whereas with another boyfriend, car was not a coincidental thing, and I've mentioned that other boyfriend's experience also. And in that and anyways, so in this boyfriend experience, there was some lack of equitability initially when I financially poured more into the relationship. But that equitability could have been balanced when we had a long term stable relationship. If we had a relationship where he was fair and equitable to me in other fronts, but what was continuously happening in that relationship, and we had a broken relationship of on and off years, many years, where for 3 months or 6 months we would date, then we would break off, then another 5-6 months would go where we are not dating, then again we would date for a few months, then again we would break off. Something like that was continuously happening with us. And in that phase only, in the first year, he got to use the car most of the time. Then in the second, third year, I used the car a little bit more, and he bought a new car. And we did some financial trading where in the end, I felt I have done a fair trade. I don't know whether he felt that whether it was a fair trade between us or not. He will have to decide. But according to my consciousness-based choices, I ensured that when I am taking the car, he had a new car, or he was sharing the car when I was using the car more and I had to travel long distances for work, that he was living in a place where he had access to public transport to go to his work, or if I was using it 3 days in a week for going to my work, the rest of the 4 days in the week he was still getting access to the car when I had no work to go to. So things like that were shaping up for another few months. And then when we finally broke off completely, and I decided, because I had accidents and other health problems, I moved away, and at that time I took the car and he bought a new car. And I gave him also some money at that time to pay for his new car possibly. Or the other way in which I was paying him was, during this entire time we were dating or even not dating and simply trying to be just friends with each other, at all those time points, whenever we would go out on dinner, he would come to my place for dinner. I was the one who was constantly paying for all those dinners. And I was the one financially most of the time doing all the financial payments in the relationship related to multiple things. The only financial payment he was doing was filling the car with gas. But why was he filling the car with gas? Because he was using majority of the time the car during many points of the relationship when I didn't have the car, and he was the one who was constantly using the car more than I did. So that's how some equitably was created in our relationship, even though a lot of toxicity and imbalance was there in other levels. And in that toxicity and imbalance relationship only, from there I understood when I was actually pouring a lot, not just financially or emotionally, but like this girl, the way I used to look at my boyfriend was the way in which he never looked at me, was the way in which he never respected me was a way in which he never even observed me as a human being with certain needs. And he was like this first girl that I mentioned. The first girl's boyfriend is ready to take whatever she gives him, and like that my ex-boyfriend was like that. He was ready to take whatever I was giving him. Like, who wouldn't want, like, if I have only 1500 to spend on a car and my girlfriend is providing another extra 3000 to spend on the car, now we have a larger budget to buy a car. Or if I have 1000 to spend on my car and my girlfriend is spending 2000 on a car, because I don't remember, 1000 to 1500 is what he spent, and double of that is what I spent on that car. So roughly. So this thing, does your budget now, his budget got tripled when I am there with him, whereas his budget would have been much lower and he would have had to buy a much poorer quality car, which is what in fact happened with him when I took away the car that I also jointly owned. I also majorly paid for. Then the car had also an accident where I had got totaled, but I didn't have money to pay on a, like, my choice was either I repair the total car or I buy the new car, another new car. And I had the same money. Repairing the car was a little cheaper than buying a new car. So or the next second hand car. So instead of buying a new another second hand car, I just ended up paying for. So I ended up paying not only the initial, $2,000 to $3,000 on the car, plus another $2,000 $3,000 extra I had to pay for the insurance, for the fact that I was responsible for the accident partly. And later on I realized that he was also responsible for the accident in an indirect manner via drugging on other things that were going on covertly in the background, which I didn't realize was part of the dynamics that was playing in that relationship. And that covertness related thing where he was drugging me was also influencing my driving skills. When he was abusing me, that was also influencing my driving skills. But I never asked him to pay or compensate for any of the abuse, any of the drugging. The drugging was something I didn't even realize until many decades later. Abuse was something I was realizing, yet I didn't blame him while distracted driving, that he was the one because of whom I got into the accident, or that he should pay for this accidental thing. Or maybe he did pay a little, like when the accident happened, and if at that time also some repair needed to be done, I think maybe I paid 1500 and he paid 500 and the rest was paid by the insurance, or something like that had happened. So this is how our relationship was trying to financially balance itself, but it never went into a good financial balance. Because why? Which is important, and which is important for the second girl's story, because in all of our interactions, this guy never equitably paid in our relationship. He only paid if I asked him to pay, or he only paid when I asked for fairness in the relationship, like, hey, you're not being fair. Like, when I asked him after 1 year of him using the car, that you have been using this car for 1 year, this is not a fair thing, since you've been using it for 1 year while I don't get to, not 1 year, a little shorter than 1 year he had been using it consistently. Well, I don't get to use it, but I also have to go to work now, so you need to give this car to me also to use. So after 1 year, other than that, in that whole 8-10 months that he owned the car, or he broke up after 2-3 months of dating, and 5-6 months when I was not dating him at all, he didn't care if I didn't have access to any car, even though I had legally paid for the car, my legal name was there on the car's papers. He never came and asked, like, hey, do you need to go grocery? Because, in Utah where we used to live, our university housing was very, very far away from the local grocery stores. And in order to go to even one grocery store for simple bit of grocery shopping, we had to take at least 2 public transportations. And it was sometimes 1.5 to 2 hours journey to go and come back from a grocery store. More than 2 hours journey. Like, just going there would take us 1 hour if both transportations came on time and were running like simultaneously just after each other. Then it would take us maybe 1 hour 15 minutes just to go. So it was like a 3 hour, nearly 3 to 3.5 hour experience, because you will spend at least half an hour 20 minutes grocery shopping also when you're going that far for grocery shopping, right? So with no money, I can't afford to get a cab also, or I am not the frivolous kind to spend on a cab ride unless I absolutely have to spend on it. So I went a couple of times grocery shopping like that, all by myself, taking 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours to do these groceries. Never once did this guy ever ask me or offer me. He may not have had this experience of going 1.5 hour, but if 1.5 hour is just going time, so 1.5 hour going, 1.5 hour coming, half an hour shopping, this is the total time and energy I would have to do and invest to just get grocery for 1 week's worth of groceries. And I'm a short, not that physically fit girl also, so I would at that time have to, even 1 week's grocery would be very heavy grocery to carry for me. So despite that, he never asked me about it. I still did it by myself, or I relied on other friends who were going grocery shopping, and I would tag along with them, ask them like, anytime you are going grocery shopping, can you also take me to grocery shopping so that I can go and do my regular groceries, and I don't have to spend this 1.5 hour time to travel back and forth doing grocery by myself. This is the level at which I had to, even though I owned a car, this for whole year, these are all the challenges I faced, and I was ready to face it because I am a fair person, equitable person, and also maybe a little naive and stupid person, that I didn't think about fighting for my rights related to the car at that point of time. And I was going through other challenges also. I had failed my prelims, I was doing other things in life where those things were keeping me preoccupied. So if another friend was helping me go to the grocery shopping, I forgot about the fact that my boyfriend and I owned the same car. But if that friend was not there, the days when the friend was not there, because later I had moved to a different housing apartment where the friends were now living a little bit distance from me. So again, out of sight, out of mind happens to many people. So those friends also weren't offering. So that's when I experienced the grocery phase of taking these long hours to do a simple bit of grocery shopping. Whereas this guy was busy, enjoying life, using the car, busy dating other people. That also I didn't know, but he was doing that in the background. All of these things were happening. And eventually, though, the universe only set up the situation such that I had to go to a workplace where I did need a car to go to the workplace. Otherwise, again, going to that workplace early in the morning using public transport would have been very difficult. So that's when I finally got access to my car. I had a part-time job, so every day I was not getting access, again using the car, and only half for 4 or 5 hours I would use the car. But he had again access to the rest of the car on the days I didn't work, on the days I was only partly working, and rest of the day, half a day, he was using the car. So he had access multiple for 2 years. He had grand access to this car. Only after that I took over the access of the car, and again we did some financial things where I paid him some extra money so that he can buy. Now that the car is going to belong to me, while we didn't go and get the registration changed, I kept and because I was going to keep the car for longer hours, now my other work needed me to have the car for over 10 hours. So that's why I took the car, and I moved also away and closer to my work after I had an accident. So all of these meant I'm going to keep the car, and I gave him some money so that technically now the car belongs to me, and he can use the by his, because he had paid around 1,500 for the car. I gave him that money so that he can buy a new car, which is what he did. And again, because he was not financially wise, this time he did buy a car which was only like maybe 1,500 or $2,000 worth, even though he could have, now that he has lived also now another extra 2 years, so he could have also been a saving kind. He could have saved money, like how I had saved in my first year to be able to invest $3,000 in a car. He could have also now had the 1,500 he got from me plus the extra 3,000. He could have, if he had saved, he would have got enough money to actually buy a very good quality car, a better quality car than what he purchased. But because he was not a wise person, he also didn't value my inputs at that time when he was buying a second car. Again, this is the way you actually help someone or financially support someone, even if they are just your friend now or your ex, or someone going through a financial challenge, or someone related to you whom you care about. So I gave him an advice that the car he was buying, I felt that that car was not mechanically in a good condition. But he didn't value my opinion as a woman. He thought, how, what will a woman know about cars? Secondly, he hadn't saved any extra money while I was not dating him. He was spending money on women who were asking him to date him or spend money on them. I never expected him to spend money on me. So I was that kind of a woman who didn't expect the guy to spend money on her, who was okay with the guy not spending money on her because she knew what is his salary, who was also okay with taking a lot of other crap just because I loved him, and I was in that first girl stage of complete rose glasses about a guy I'm dating, where I'll do anything for you because I'm that kind of a person. And he was not doing the same equitable thing for me. And while I was realizing that the equitable pouring of love was not happening, I was still taking it because of false belief systems surrounding love, which many of us go through, where we think if we love someone, we are supposed to accept them for who they are, which is very true. You are supposed to accept your partner for who they are, but you can't accept your partner for what they can't be to you as well. This is the second part of love, and that is the conditionality of love, that if you are pouring a lot into a relationship, we also have to pour equitably in a relationship to make you feel balanced in a relationship, aligned, harmonized, and to make the cup of love grow. Whereas if you are pouring a lot and your partner is hardly pouring anything or nothing at all, in fact, in my relationship, while this image shows about a 2/3 imbalance, in my relationship there was complete imbalance where not even 10% or 2% love was being poured into the relationship. And I kept realizing it again and again, but because I was an insecure woman, I was a fat woman, I was also deeply in love with him women, I had these blinders where I couldn't see how bad my relationship was. But I was feeling the consequence of the trauma from that relationship. I had 2 of my accidents, one related to a sprained ankle, one related to distracted driving, because of the consequence of being in a relationship which was imbalanced, which was filled with abuse. And very subtle ways of abuse, but all that adds up to causing a functional health harm in you, leading you to be distracted, leading you to not take care of yourself, leading you to feel a certain way where you end up in challenges like having a distracted driving incidents as well. A distracted driving which partly was related to me distracted from a fight in a relationship, but also a distracted driving which later I realized was also happening with me because I was very groggy that day when I drove that car, and I didn't know I was groggy, and I don't drink. I wasn't the kind to drink. I wasn't the kind to engage in any other drugging related activities. So for me, it was very strange why I was groggy. At that time, I just assumed maybe I overslept or something. But now 10 years later, I'm realizing there was a real high potential that this guy was drugging me as well sometimes. Why he was doing it? Something his distorted personality will have to explain to someone, to God, someday in the future. But it was happening with me. And then what started happening was, and no, it was not just this day that it happened. It happened a couple of days in that relationship, which eventually made me realize that this was happening. Otherwise, I would not have realized. If someone had done it to you one time, you will not realize it. But if it is a repeated pattern someone has set with you, it is something you will realize. And that's why only I understand even Giselle Pellicot's case of France very deeply, and I have made some commentary about that covert abuse related case as well, because those hidden implications related to such kind of abuse people don't understand. I also didn't understand it until years later, when these things took a real toll in my life, or when they had taken a toll in my life and functional abilities. At that time also, when you're going through abuse, you don't realize how it is impacting you at the deeper reflective level at which I am discussing these videos. This reflection came after 10 years, 20 years of leaving that relationship. A reflection which will not come to anyone if you continue living in a toxic and imbalance filled loving relationship with someone. and which is what the first girl is going through, where she's in a rosy colored phase and where she completely loves the guy, and I completely loved the guy, trusted the guy, was fair to the guy as much as I could possibly be fair, was overpouring in multiple levels from financial to emotional level, but was not receiving any of that in a fair way from that relationship. And all he wanted from me was some sexual contact and sexual high, which was also very disturbing for me because I didn't want that in a relationship. I was a very conservative girl from India, so for me that sexual thing was not important in the initial phases of my relationship. I wanted to actually build the emotional connection first, build a cup of love filled with other elements of life first, than just having sex be the main factor in my relationship. So I started feeling used and abused sexually also. Like, he didn't as far as I know, he didn't have sex with me, though if he had drugged me, it's very possible what happened to Giselle Pelicot, something like that could have happened in that relationship with this guy as well. Because consciously, while I may not have had sex or said no to having sex, unconsciously he could have done something to my body where I didn't know what was happening to my body, right? But again, with Giselle Pelicot, how I have mentioned that there is a repercussion to when you are being abused, when direct abuse is happening. I could at that point of time identify all the direct abuse that was happening, or 5 years after breaking off, I identified all the direct abuse related things. It took me nearly 15 to 20 years to identify the covert abuse related things that was manifesting in that particular relationship for me. So likewise, this girl, in the first girl's video which has gone viral, there are people who are trying to now, having had these kind of experiences, like I had really a toxic experience. Giselle Pelicot also had a high scale toxic experience related to multiple people abusing her. Like that, there are women who don't get this high level 10 people or 4 people or 4 times getting drugged, 4 times 4 different kinds of abuse, all these things they may not get. But when subtle signs of abuse are going on in your life, or abuse or imbalance rather, right now for her imbalance is going on in her relationship, but she's not picking up on the imbalance because she's deeply in love with him. And that is a red flag, because if this pattern continues, if he really keeps rejecting her love, keeps not accepting her love, keeps only taking from her whatever she gives, like that guy completely took whatever I gave. Like if I gave him money, he was okay with it. If I spend more on the food, he was okay with it. When he was invited to my home and he's spending, he's okay with it. When I am going to his home, he's not spending, he's okay with it. All of these things, when I go and when I was going to his home sometimes to stay over in his place, I had to ensure that his bathroom is clean. He never ensured that his bathroom is clean, his home is clean. So if I go and clean up his place, his home would be clean. But if I didn't put any efforts in cleaning anything, or we were broken off for 6 months, in those 6 months he would hardly do any cleaning or self-care or self-care taking. He was busy just either flirting with someone else or going and living off at some other girlfriend's homes or things like that. I don't know what he was doing. That I can't say, because I'm not the kind to sit and follow, and I was not the paranoid kind or suspicious kind. I was a trusting kind. I didn't know he was dating someone else kind. So because of that, I'm not sitting and spying on someone's phone or checking on someone to see is he going and dating someone else. I don't do that crap, because for me it's principally you are either in the relationship or you're not in it. And while I was in it and he was not in it, all it showed me eventually throughout the painful experiences of that relationship is I was in it a lot more, and I was pouring, like, let's say 90%, 100% love, whereas for his side it was only 10%, 2% love being poured. And that too whenever and all the efforts in the relationship were majorly done by me. That is how it played out for many years, until I finally got awoken to the thing that I'm wanting this girl to awaken to, which is that her love that she's pouring on him is getting wasted because he doesn't appreciate her, love her, or actually is ready to receive the love that she is capable of providing to any guy or him as well. She's specifically capable of providing it to him because right now she's deeply in love with him. But if they had got broken up someday At that time, this same love, if she had poured into a guy who is capable of equitably pouring into that relationship, they would have a beautiful cup of love, beautifully evolving life that would bring her beautiful meaning and satisfaction to her and a guy who loves her at that same equal level, equal depth, equal level of caretaking level that she's showering on her boyfriend while he is not doing it to her. Instead, when that other video is a red flag where he's hugging their best friend, her best friend or their best friend or his sister, I don't know which is the truth. It could be all three or just one of the three, that she could be a sister of the boy, she could be a mutual friend of both of them and was mutually both their best friends, or she could just be the best friend of the girl who came to be in their lives as a result of the girl being their best friend. Whatever it is, there was some karmic things and choices the best friend had to do which she is not doing. She's allowing the boyfriend to hug her because she needs the hug. Again, she's also the same type of personality as the boy, that she's taking whatever love she can get from the boy. So the boy is hugging her, she needed probably some, maybe she was crying about a breakup or she fell down or whatever is the excuse. Now the way the whole scenario also played looks very suspicious to me, but there are some genuine times also where a boy can hug another girl when the other girl is crying, when the other girl needs some support. If the boy is empathetic towards the girl, he will show all these things. But the reason why it's a red flag is he is more lovingly caretaking the girlfriend, the best friend, than he ever lovingly, affectionately even kisses his own girlfriend. So which is a major red flag, because if he's hugging, it shows that he has a capacity to deeply hold and care another human being, but that deep holding and caring of another human being that he has capacity to show towards the best friend, he doesn't have that same equitable level capacity to express that, or he doesn't feel also the need to express that to his own girlfriend. So which is a red flag of her imbalanced relationship, and that's why she should leave this relationship if she wakes up, if she understands the value and worth of what I'm saying and many people are trying to hint to her in all her posts. And even if she's his sister, it doesn't matter if she's a friend or a sister. With a sister, it is just a thing showing that he's capable of showing a deep meaningful love that he's not able to express to his own girlfriend. So he could just be a emotionally avoidant partner. But if she is not a sister, it also shows that he has the capacity to feel like this, drawn to another woman and give her and pour some love into another woman, that he is not able to do with the girlfriend, because their energies are such that they are not the balanced energy where he has that same equitable capacity to caringly take care of his girlfriend that same way as he is taking care of that best friend. Understood? So I hope you understand why it is a red flag when a man does this. He's also doing what in the previous video I have mentioned, how when we are meant to jointly pour into a common cup of love between a couple, and at that time if we are distracted or if our energies are getting pulled by other people around us who take away that mutual intimate, that this is a form of intimacy he was showing to the best friend, intimate love, not necessarily a sexually intimate love, because intimacy can be simply a hug also, which is not sexually intimate but emotionally intimate. Okay, so whether it was an emotional intimacy, in this video it looked like an emotional intimacy, but that emotional intimacy only leads to development of sexual intimacy between partners or two strangers if they are not related to each other, if there is a emotional resonance, sexual resonance and other resonance going on with them. And at that time if a man is engaged to a girl or thinks of engaging to a girl or wants to marry a girl or is married to a girl, at all of these time points, if any man, or genders can also be switched, but this is an example of a man doing it, if he is displaying these kind of behavioral patterns towards other people than their own partner, he's not ready for that relationship. He's not ready to put the intimate love that should be only reserved for your partner, he's distributing it away to other people, which is a problem in our modern lives, because many modern men and women, we are out there in the workforce working with other genders, doing spending 10, 10, 20 hours sometimes with our work colleagues, and at that time, the more you spend 10, 20, 30 hours with your work colleagues and the less time you spend with your own spouse or partner, that level of emotional intimacy and liking and resonance can start developing with those other people. And when those resonances are starting to develop with those people, if you don't realize the red flag of what you're doing, harm that you're doing to your relationship, what will happen is you will not be pouring into the cup of love, that of intimacy, love, care, caretaking, time and effort to know your partner. All of it is going away, instead of to the partner, to the other person, which is why it causes toxic imbalances in relationship, which is why it causes and should cause people to break up in relationships, or people to get divorced in relationships, because everyone who has a higher soul purpose in life to do something with their partner, that higher soul purpose cannot evolve with your partner, emerge with your partner, if all the time you are focused on other people, or you're only focused on the initial stages of a relationship. Like for some men, like my first ex, he was the kind who needs sexual resonance with people. So when whenever I'm putting a sexual boundary on the relationship, he was unhappy about it, and because he was unhappy about it, he's seeking sexual partnerships from other people. He wanted also praise and admiration from me, and I'm not the kind of woman who pours a lot of admiration to men, not especially if it is not something I find admiration worthy. I will admire you for any but I have also the kind who will praise a man and a woman. I have no jealousy in praising someone genuinely for what I like about them. And if I'm not feeling jealous or something else is going on, I will not praise possibly, but I can't praise someone for what qualities they don't have. So if a man wants to be praised for being a good boyfriend, he can't be praised for being a good boyfriend if he doesn't do anything that a good boyfriend should be doing. And a man who expects a woman to always praise and admire him for being the provider can't be a provider to a woman if he never provided anything for the woman, or hardly provided 1% of something. Like if he was only giving partly, he paid for the car, and after that nothing else he has ever paid for. Is he providing anything into the relationship? No. And emotionally also, if he is resonating with other women, which happened with my ex also, he was resonating more with other friends, other women, and I could see that he is not resonating with me at all, or he's not even seeing me in the same way, same light as I see him. So when someone is incapable of seeing you in the same light as you see them, and especially in love, if you are seeing them with a very love's rose tinted glasses, but they are not able to see you with those glasses, it's a very imbalanced relationship, unfair relationship, and a relationship which will lead to breakdown of a relationship in the long term. Cannot create a healthy relationship at all, because the partner is not ready only to pour into the common cup of love. And until the cup of love gets formed, that cup of love will only get formed when both are individually realizing that there is a mutual cup of love also getting built. Because first it happens at a subconscious level, and it becomes a conscious cup of love when you slowly develop more and more mutual love feelings. So some good couples have been married for 10, 20, 30 years. They say that you have to love grows between you. Why does love grow between those couples? That love was able to grow between those couples as they aged together was because they both were mutually pouring into their cup of love. Whereas for other couples, love doesn't grow. In fact, after 10 years, you want to divorce your partners. Why? Because you didn't build the mutual cup of love. You were not pouring into the mutual cup of love. And for some couples, there is no mutual cup present at all, and only one partner is pouring a lot, whereas the other partner is casually, occasionally pouring something, and most of the time not pouring anything at all into the relationship. Which is what will happen to the first woman if she is not careful, if she doesn't realize and wake up to the fact that there is no balance in this relationship, and is her future trajectory will be very similar to the trajectory of the girl I'm mentioning in the second video. and it might also be in some ways worse than the trajectory of the girl I'm mentioning in the second girl that I'm going to discuss a little bit more now. Because what is going to happen is, if the girl best friend is not the guy's sister, and he does indeed have emotionally more resonance with her, he is more likely to continue being in love with that girl, and either he will cheat on the wife later on with that girl, or he will be emotionally cheating even if he's not physically cheating with that girl, or he will constantly be comparing his wife to that girl because he has more emotional resonance with that girl, and which is all a very unfair thing, imbalanced thing, can cause the woman to eventually become like the second girlfriend, who's the second woman who's saying she hates her husband. Because you will invariably, if you have poured also a lot of love into your relationship, but no, even though you were unconditionally loving towards him in the beginning, that unconditional love turned into toxic love, turned into first imbalanced love, then turned into toxic love, then turned into a love where only the hatred aspect of the love is showing up, because you're realizing your partner is taking unfair advantage of you. That is when hatred shows up. Hatred shows up when someone is literally and actually taking unfair advantage of you, or there were some misunderstandings created in your relationship, and you feel that based on the misunderstandings that person is taking advantage of you, which is what her commentary about she's staying in the relationship for money is causing other people who have been taken advantage of in their relationships to think that the girl is saying she's staying in the relationship for money because she's getting a lot of financial advantages from the guy, which is definitely not her case based on what she said already in the video and how she looks in the video. Because in her life trajectory now, based on whatever she has discussed herself in this video, this is a discernment now people need to understand, both based on what someone says, how someone says it, why they said it, and not taking into consideration how you have been taken advantage of. Because I was also financially taken advantage of by some other guy, but I was also a girl who was saying that he was not paying any, like, if I was also in some points of time staying in certain relationships because of some simple seemingly monetary convenience, but it was not exactly a monetary convenience, and which is what I will explain. That's why I understand what she was meaning when she said she stayed for money, which is what only women who have gone through this kind of financial, and my mother has gone through these kind of abuse, so I know what it means when she says what she's saying. And my mother was not a woman like the second woman, she was more like the first woman, the woman who was ready to take anything that the boyfriend was ready to give. I was also like my mother, but now I'm slowly changing into a different kind of a woman, because I can't stay a woman like my mother in this century, because so many men have already taken so much financial to emotional to other extra pouring of love from me, when they have not provided that equal pouring of love, or they are not been willing to provide it, or when it was my turn to have that equitable love from them, they decided to give it away to someone else. So which is again everyone's free will choice what anyone does when they give it away to someone else, when they don't pour equitably, when they are not willing to pour equitably, when they are only willing to take from you whatever you will give them, where not realizing that there is always a karmic consequence to what you have done. This is a karmic thing, it becomes a karmic thing, that's why. And that is what a twin flames karmic experience or anyone else's karmic life experience on earth is about. That you karmically, when you are constantly taking from someone whatever they are giving without realizing the value of what they are giving, without appreciating them for what they are giving, and also not ready to let them go so that they can pursue it with someone else who would be better able to accept and receive their love in a way they are giving it, and who will also give to them what they need. Because when I am giving something to you, karma says you have to give that back to me as well. Balance of life says it has to be equitably, and it doesn't mean exactly like if I gave $2,000 for the car, he has to give $2,000 for the car. But if I had given 2,000 for the car, and if he had spent 2,000 in our mutual groceries, or he had taken me on dates, or gone for vacation with me spending $2,000 on vacations, then I will understand that he has equitably given. But if I am also paying for groceries, if I'm also paying equally for dates, or equally or more for dates, or for vacation also I'm paying equally or more for vacations, or everywhere I'm just paying equally or more constantly, and he is not paying equally at all, or barely paying anything emotionally. And payment, again, I'm using pay word, and everyone will think this girl is monetarily thinking about pay, but I'm not saying the monetary payment. There is a karmic payment, and there is a emotional investment related thing, which is where the relationship was faltering. Like, if I'm paying financially, you can pay emotionally, because that is the karma of life, that some people will pay emotionally, some people will pay karmically, some people will pay monetarily, some people will be paying spiritually. Everyone will be doing what they are capable of at the level at which every one of us is expected to give something to another. Not pay is also a very bad word. It becomes a paying thing and a payment thing when bad karma is occurring with someone, whereas it becomes a gift of giving to someone when you are just giving it, or releasing all expectations of someone, ever balancing back what you have given more, which is what Mother Mary became the mother who has given love to a lot of people, and many people that Mother Mary gives love to don't give that back, equal pouring of love back to Mother Mary. But that is why only she became a ascended master, and then she becomes the universal mother eventually in some other lifetime, when she has given enough to so many people who never gave anything back to her, right? But until the time she doesn't become an ascended master, and she has to exist on earth at a balanced level, she has to still receive some equitable love from certain fronts. Otherwise, Mother Mary wouldn't stay a Mother Mary at all. So while Mother Mary can love a lot of people and help a lot of people as an ascended master, and as a person who has already passed away and doesn't exist as a human form right now on earth, emotionally she has given, spiritually she has given to so many people, right? So, and while she was on earth at that time, she was giving the love that she was giving Jesus, the love that she was able to give to her spouse. All of these were the loves, and other people around her, was the love only that created the space in Jesus's heart also to give love to the next generation. So this is also a valuable thing to learn about women, because if you don't pour only into the woman who is giving a lot of love to you, and doing a lot of careful and caretaking things to you, emotionally giving and financial giving is of two levels. When you are financially crunched, the giving is about tightening your budget and letting go of your luxuries, whereas when financially when you are in a luxurious phase of life, or good secure phase of life, it is about doing the luxurious things, spending on the good quality things of life, right? So that is where the financial giving and abundance comes from. So if just in the second girl's case, when she is saying that she's staying for money, she means she doesn't have any finances to leave the relationship. And understand, she said she was in a 10 or 12 years relationship. So if she met this guy when she was 19 or something, or just nearing 20 years of age, she was graduating out of college, and when she was graduating out of college, she might have started dating him. At that time, did she have a career or not? You can't say, but I'm assuming she must have had some career, because otherwise the financial question wouldn't have come up so easily to her in her 30s. Many women will not realize this value until later in their 30s. If they were financially supported by a lot of men, they wouldn't even talk the way this girl is talking. So the fact that she's talking in this way, and the way she said all the things she said, it means the way she has narrated it has the clues as to what I am saying has unfolded in her life. She was likely graduated. At that time when she was graduating, she possibly also had some part-time job or a full-time job. She also possibly for 3 years before the marriage, entering the marriage, for I think 5 to 8 years, she might have had a job also during that time. But let's say now she was working a minimum wage job, like she graduated somewhere and she is a preschool teacher or something. I'm giving preschool teacher example because I was a preschool teacher. Or she was a lab assistant in a lab. Whatever it is, she had some salary of minimum wage salary of $7, $10 an hour like salary. whereas the boyfriend could have had a salary of like, let's say, $15 or $20 an hour. Now many couples, when the girl has a lower salary and a guy has a higher salary, decide that if they get married and if they have a child, and a lot of child care taking costs are now going to come up, if they don't want to now pay for child care taking costs, if their salary is such that paying for child care taking will be very, very expensive, many women consent at that time to leave their job, because their salary, like let's say if she's getting paid only $10 an hour, and if she has to put her child into a daycare, that daycare is going to charge them like possibly more than $10 an hour, like charging, then for them it becomes a overloaded cost, right? Like if you just look at the finances, I'm not even looking at the emotional aspect of it and other functional aspects related to it, because there are costs to functional aspects as well here, which no one analyzes when they are going through life challenges like this, but is a factor people should analyze. But many a times most couples only analyze the financial aspect of it, and because they analyze only the very direct financial cost instead of analyzing the indirect financial cost that is now going on here. The direct financial cost is, if she was going to get paid $10 an hour, child caring is also going to take them near $9 or $10 an hour to get that child caretaking. Every couple, many people will just decide, I'm not going to do that child caretaking, I will leave my job, because it sounds cheaper, right? Like I'm saving, if child caretaking is equal amount, I can caretake my child by myself, so I will be a stay-at-home mom. The mom might think like that, or the dad and mom together might decide that is how it might be better. Or she could have had one child. At that time they did put the child in caretaking, and it was not as expensive and it was manageable for them to put one child in a daycare center. But when they had two children, the expenses are such that they decide again that financially it might be better if the wife stays at home, which is what I believe is the major thing that this woman did. That she might have decided, while she had some salary of $10 hour salary before marriage, when they were getting married, the husband might have convinced her, she herself might have got convinced that it would be cheaper, they would save more money if she stayed at home and the man was just doing the job, and while staying at home she's now saving the money on daycare costs, childcare costs and things like that. So while she made that decision and choice to leave her job, what is the reality now that has struck? The reality that people don't take into account. The reality that has struck is, while initially she had that $10 income, and if she was exact, and I believe she was in exactly the same kind of relationship like the first girl, where she's pouring a lot of love into the relationship, the man is not pouring anything into the relationship related to love, as well as in my case where the man was pouring nothing related to love or finances in the relationship in a meaningful manner. So in a manner that will really show that you are a caretaker and provider of your girlfriend and ready to caretake and provide for the girlfriend or any future progeny you may have with them, right? That level caretaking was not present in any element or many elements of my relationship. It was absent. So as a result, what would have happened if the man was that kind of a man, when they were both dating each other, like he was having $25 a salary, an hour salary, she was having $10 an hour salary, maybe while they're going on dates he's spending on the food and everything. And when you're dating, in the dating life, a man can tend to spend on going out for food, going out for drinks, partying with friends, and he might be doing it partly to date her but partly also to socially engage with other people. So because he's doing it to engage with other people, date her and impress her, at that time maybe he was spending some money on all the food related bills. But if they were living together at home life, she was cooking also some other days. They were not, if you're getting $10 and $20, that kind of a salary range, you're not going to be eating outside always, right? If you're a practical couple or a good money sorted person and balanced individuals, you will not overspend. You will maybe go on a date on a Saturday night and Sunday nights, and the rest of the 5 days of the week you're cooking at home. So who was doing the cooking? The cooking was being done by the girlfriend. Now if the man was not paying attention to, he was the kind, like my first boyfriend, he was not going to bring any groceries, he was not going to go to the market to get get any groceries or emergency food that might be needed. The girlfriend was a very adjusting girlfriend, so if whatever food they had at home, she would cook with whatever ingredients was there in the home. If she was going grocery shopping, she would go and buy the things. So, and if many women are like that, they are independent. If they are earning, they are not even going to bother the boyfriend that can you go and get me lemon or this or that. And if they are very adjusting also, those kind of women will not even, if let's say there is a recipe, I am that kind of a woman also, and it doesn't make my food taste good, but what do you want? Do you want adjusting girlfriend who manages with whatever money and resources you have, or do you want a girlfriend to cook a gourmet meal but put you in debt? Because if, let's say, there is a very extravagant recipe that you can cook a 5-course dish and meal you can cook for your partner, which girl will be able to cook that meal? Either the one who loves to cook like that will cook that meal. But even if I am a girl who loves to cook a 5-course meal, but my boyfriend doesn't ever bring any ingredients related to those 5-course meals, or I am the only one who always pays to prepare these 5-course meals from out of my pocket, what is going to happen when in the dating phases I could have cooked the 5-course meal, 4-course meal, whatever excellent extravagant meal, I could have done all the home caretaking chores, everything, because I had only I had a job where I'm going for 8 hours, and the rest of the day I do have now time and energy to focus on things. Because I had a job, I had money in my bank. Because I had money in my bank, I went and bought all the ingredients to cook this 5-course meal. So on birthdays or special occasions, I will cook this 5-course meal. Or we will go out on a date and I will equitably spend on it. I can do all these things, right, during the dating phases, 7 years of dating, whatever years of dating, when I'm earning money and I'm not asking you for anything. Why am I not asking you for anything? Because I have my own money in my bank account, so I don't need to ask you for anything. And if I had an equitable boyfriend, what will the equitable boyfriend realize? He will feel guilty that why is my girlfriend only spending always for dinner, so I will also get some dinner ingredients. He will feel if he is equitable and he's been taught well by his parents, or he understands the basic tenets and principles of life, that you shouldn't be taking advantage of anyone. Like, even if your girlfriend pours a lot into the relationship, fairness and karma deans that you should also be pouring some equitable things. So now, if you are a good boyfriend, what you would be doing? Some good boyfriends, if they don't know how to cook, they will allow the wife to do all the cooking, but they might be cleaning the dishes in the home. They might go and throw the garbage out. They might go and get the girlfriend's car fixed. They might give the girlfriend a beautiful gift for her birthday, where he just gets to spend some money on her instead of putting some effort in what he did. But that is done by whom? The man who is conscious, the man who is fair, the man who, or he will go and give her some extra, go and purchase, like, if any time she says, like, today what do you feel like eating? And if there are videos nowadays of many women who do this, who ask their spouse, what do you want to eat? Now, when she's asking what do you want to eat, is she going to be able to cook that for him if he never buys those groceries for her, or if she never herself goes and buys those groceries for herself? So, and if she's a stay-at-home wife who's doing all the cooking, who is doing either the whole entire grocery has to be done by the husband and his finances, or if the wife is also working, it's their joint finances which is leading to these ingredients in their life. And now, if the guy is a kind of guy who loves to eat a lot of different dishes and wants that in his house, does he also have to be thoughtful enough to realize that some days I have to stock my pantry? Like, if my girlfriend loves to cook Italian food, Chinese food, Indian food, all these kinds of foods and cuisines, while she is doing majority of the grocery shopping, or at least half of the grocery shopping, I should also be doing. And if she runs and a mindful and thoughtful partner will be doing all those things, like, we love to eat Chinese a lot, or he wants to eat a lot of Chinese, he can easily see, okay, my Chinese ingredients are low in the pantry, I will go and buy some Chinese ingredients now, so that next time I feel like eating Chinese, we can't say no to not eating Chinese because we ran out of ingredients and we have to eat Italian, or something like that can crop up. You take care of your own needs also, and you're taking care of your girlfriend's needs also. Because let's say you like Chinese, girlfriend likes eating Italian, and every time there is no grocery in the home, she can still cook up with less groceries a good Italian meal, but with less groceries, because she doesn't like Chinese dishes, she may not be able to cook up a good tasty Chinese meal. So if you understand this about your girlfriend, if you're paying attention to your relationship, if you're pouring equitable cup of love into the relationship, you will be doing all these things to improve your relationship. You will go and make sure that you stock the pantry with the Chinese ingredients because you love eating Chinese. You will also, if you love your girlfriend, you will also stock it with equal levels of Italian ingredients as well. You will understand that it's not the girlfriend's job to always just buy groceries. If both of you are earning equitably or equally, or and especially if the man is earning more, he should be spending more in the relationship. Because why? Because the girlfriend is spending more on the relationship, where when she's cooking and making a gourmet meal at home, where that gourmet meal that she's making from scratch might end up costing them only 10 hours of $10 in ingredient cost, but the hour she spent mindfully cooking is also a cost that she's not getting paid for, but that cost that you will pay for when you go to a high-end restaurant and a good quality restaurant, right? So that same meal that she's making in $10 plus she is will cost you $40, $50, $100 in a restaurant. But here the cost is what? The cost is her love, the cost is her energy, the cost is the hours she spends cooking it, the cost is also the hours she mindfully cooks it. Because you can have two girlfriends where one can cook you the same pasta meal, but if one is cooking it mindfully, they will the mindfulness that is not about the they both have same skills of making it at a gourmet level. They both studied at a culinary institute possibly, or learned from books, whatever it is. They both have the skills to make a very beautiful dinner, but one doesn't know that what is bad quality ingredient, one doesn't understand what is a toxic food element. Which wife will be able to keep the family healthier? The wife who understands mindfully that this is a toxic ingredient, this is an ingredient that is going to make us unhealthy. So even if my ingredient list wants me to put 5 vegetables in it, and out of these 5 vegetables I found that one of the vegetables is very toxic, there's some chemicals in it, I'm a mindful cook, I will let go, I will not use that ingredient. I will either replace it, find an alternative to it, or not cook that dish. All these mindful things you will make, choices you will have to make to ensure your family stays healthy. Why? Because that is unhealthy ingredient, I shouldn't be putting it into my food and poisoning my family. That is a mindfulness of a wife, and a care of a wife, and a care of a loved girlfriend. But if that girlfriend is now not being loved, and if she's been abused, can she be mindful? She may not be mindful. If she's not mindful, she will not understand when toxic ingredients are being put in the food. She will not care also if if someone tells also that this spice in the market right now is toxic, she won't care. She's like, whatever, we have done so with it like this for many years, I don't have the time, because she's so exhausted, so overburdened, doesn't have the time to go and replace the ingredient, doesn't have a partner. If she tells the partner that this thing that was bought right now in the market is spoiled, can you get a different ingredient? All these things will show up when the partner is not caring, not caretaking, not able to understand the harm that will cause. And all these are not about money at all. This is the indirect aspects of harm related to love, related to care, related to caretaking, which unfolds in a relationship when the relationship is not balanced, when balance pouring of love is not there, and finances are only one aspect of that imbalance, but can become the major aspect of an imbalance in a relationship where care and caretaking and love is not there at all, or hardly there. So this girl, if she was the girlfriend who was spending a lot of money on all their caretaking needs when she had access to money, now that she's not earning money, and 3 years is a typical time a person will run out of their past earnings. I have been in those phases of life where I didn't have active earnings. So I know, if with a lot of budgeting within or whatever it is, and for her she now also has a child to take care of. So if she had some savings also before marriage, during the first year of the marriage, if she was an adjusting wife, what would she have been doing? And she says only in this video, I understand that he's working a lot of hours, but he's doing nothing at home and I hate him. Why did she say that? She says that because when she says nothing, he's also possibly not even contributing financially to anything related to their future. He's just going to work, earning the money. Earlier maybe he was earning a $25 job, an hour job. Now because he has a kid, he might be earning $30 an hour as well, but he has only got a $5 increase. The wife has had a $10 decrease. And so in the net, as a couple, do they have a decrease in earnings? Yes, because as a couple, when he was earning 25, she was earning 10, they had a $35 salary, whereas now their salary is only 30. Plus they have a child, so they have increased costs related to child caretaking. Plus she is a new mom. New mom's health also needs a lot of caretaking. New mom needs a lot of rest. New mom needs a lot of emotional support. New mom needs a lot of emotional care. So even if he has a $5 less net income, he can still pour into the relationship by comforting her, consoling her, just sitting with her in child caretaking, energetically providing some support to her. The reason why she's saying she's hating him is because of that. And in the first few years of the relationship, if she had a good savings in her account, first 2 years, all the babies products that needed to be bought, she likely bought herself, whereas he hardly bought anything for them. And then now she's realizing slowly her bank account is now near zero or has already crossed zero, and it is likely crossed zero. That's why she's crying. Look at her face, look at her makeupless face. She couldn't even be spending in those 3 years as a mom. She has likely not ever got any gifts from the husband. And my mother also went through a man like this. I have also gone through many dated men like these, who do not pay for anything for you if you don't have a job. If you had a job, you were paying for everything, or whatever is your share to pay, fair share to pay, you have paid. And whatever was more than your fair share to pay, at that time also some women end up paying that. But when the moment they don't have a job, the moment they are that time also, if you have some savings, you are paying from your savings, which is what I did with my second boyfriend. I didn't have a job, I was paying from my first and second, both of them. Even the husband I married, all 3 time points I have met these men where I had phases where I was earning, then I didn't earn. And the moment I was earning also I was paying. The moments I was not earning also I was paying. And sometimes I was paying more than the men, simply because they don't, when they have someone who they know is educated and earning, they don't look only at the financial aspect of the relationship or understand where financially they are contributing. And men are actually, many men are also, those men I met, they were also, some of them were very extravagant with their purchases also. So while they are not earning, and if I am also, while both of us are earning, at that time you can go and spend $1,000 monthly on a eating out experience. But the moment one of them is not earning, can you spend $1,000 in the eating experience? You should be curbing down your eating experiences. But I couldn't bring that down for my ex. And then and I never demanded that you have to earn more or anything, but he can't understand the difference that when I'm earning and when I'm not earning, that the level of spending has to cut down. You can't. But instead I got a boyfriend who made me spend more. And while I was earning a $50 salary and went down from $50 to $0. He was earning a $10 salary, and from $10 he went to 25. Has our net income increased? No, it's actually decreased, only still in the lower level. So, and then he is spending not only on me, he is spending on his friends also. Now the expenses has also doubled and quadrupled. So will you go into debt with such a partner if the partner doesn't realize it? Will you have financial challenges with such a partner? And will a woman, I was luckily, because I had a lot of savings because of my higher salary for a long years. I was older than my second boyfriend, so obviously I had a lot of salary accumulated at that time. So I could invest in, I could get by with overspending. But I understood that overspending is a problem zone the moment I will not have any money in my bank account, because he's overspending according to a joint finances he saw when I had extra money to spend. But he's not spending according to the finances I don't have right now, or in the future I may not have for a few years. Many men don't look at it at all like this. And then they are and all the people who are commenting on this girl, that when she said she can't leave because of money, she didn't mean she can't leave because she's getting money from him. No, this guy is hardly paying anything in his life. He's likely, if he's earning $30 an hour, maybe $5 he's spending on the relationship. The same $5 he was spending earlier also. Earlier what was happening is, She was spending, out of the $10, she was spending $8 in the relationship, $2 she was saving in her bank account. Whereas this guy, out of spending $25 in the that he was earning, he was likely spending only $5 in the relationship. $20 he was just whiling away in his drinking, gambling, socializing with friends, other work experience related habits, like he will eat in the workplace and just eat dinner and in the evening with his girlfriend. He was doing everything, he was spending on himself. Whereas she was spending all the, out of the $8, possibly five, she was also spending $5, and she was only spending maybe $3 on herself. And the moment, you know, she became a mother or became a stay-at-home mom, everything she was spending only on the child and the household expenses, and now she doesn't even have an income. So she's spending it from where? From those $2 she had saved for 7-8 years. So those $2 now accumulated for 7-8 years will last her if she was doing same level spending as before, which she isn't. She's now doing more because she's paying for a child's food and other needs also. So will her $2, if she was only to spend on herself, run out? That $2 saving will run out. Just logical maths, you do it, that saving will run out for her within a year or two, if she was only to spend it on herself selfishly. But she was never spending on herself selfishly. She was always spending on their joint finances for a long time. And then now the joint finances includes a one child or two child. So she's going to run out of whatever savings she had, whatever money she has accumulated, and whatever the guy was, if the guy never increased his contributions, or he hardly increased, like let's say he was contributing $5 earlier, and now also now with the increased salary he's contributing $10, it's still not enough, because he's their net output of finances that has to happen has not been balanced, because the wife is not working, because he's not realizing the expenses of a new child or two new children in their home. So all of these men don't realize, those men who don't realize, they will get the hatred from their wife. You're supposed to get praise from your wife when you are not waking up, like in 10 years also of knowing someone, you don't know your wife is doing so many sacrifices. You don't understand that even if you do an extra job, your wife not doing a job, what consequence is playing up in her life, and it is a financially abusive and oppressive situation for her, because now while he may still have in his bank savings, you know, he might be out of the $20, $10 he's saving in some investment, but he's never putting that investment on her, on them, on the house. They are possibly staying in a rental place where she pays part of the rent, everything she's been paying. So when she's tired, that is when she will say, I'll hate you, because she has been paying so much more than what she can pay. She's been asked to pay so much more by various sources, because she said, I give everything to everyone, which means that she is a good caretaking friend for many other people in her life as well. But she's not getting that equitable caretaking. Like maybe she might have, when she was she didn't have any kids, and in her early 20s, if her friends had kids, she went and helped her friend with child caretaking. Whereas now when she needs child caretaking help, so 5 years back she might have helped a friend, 10 years back she might have helped a friend. That friend, now that their child is grown up and 8 years of age, that friend can come and help her occasionally, but that friend didn't value her help, so they are not coming to help her, or they are too busy enjoying their life, so they are not understanding how much she actually doesn't really literally hate her husband, but she hates the choices she has been made to make as a consequence of being married to such a husband who doesn't understand how overburdened she is, how exhausted she is, how she doesn't even get to spend anything on herself, or very hardly she likely spends on herself, and as a result of which, see, she doesn't have enough, she doesn't have any income at all now, any investment at all now, for her to be able to now leave this marriage also. Like she doesn't have a job. Can she leave a marriage without having a job? Like if she wants to divorce him, and if he is not going to give her alimony, or the judge decides to not give her alimony, will she be able, and she doesn't, she has a job gap of 3 or 4 years, it's very difficult to get back into a job market after 3-4 years gap. Even if you have been doing a lot of work, has she not been doing a lot of work? She has been doing a lot of work, but to the professional arena it seems like she's not doing any work. But she has been doing budgeting work, she has been doing managing with less money money work. She has been doing how to evolve in life when two responsibilities has come up related to work. She has also been doing how to manage financial abuse when no one is contributing equitably or at all to the relationship related work. So she has been doing a lot of work. So her hating, when she says she's hating her life, and the fact that the choices she made has now landed up like if she had a fair partner, equitable partner, she would never have said that she hates him. And the moment, the second video of that girl in that same clip shows that the day she posted this video, that night the husband walked away from the relationship, which shows how careless and callous he is. Like, his anger is more important. He doesn't even care about the children he has. He just walked out without, and he definitely walked out without children, because I had that ex who walks out just for no reason at all, never comes back and apologizes, never makes any amends. I have another woman who was married for 15 years in a relationship where she gave everything to the relationship. She was a very good mom, she was a very good wife. She's not directly my friend, but I know her, some bit of her life history, and have met her once or twice, and in that only I can tell she was a very my mom type mom personality, and she's a working woman. But as soon as there was some marital discord between them, the husband went and cleared away their joint bank accounts and left the wife and his two children very easily after 15 years of marriage or 10 years of marriage, which only a selfish guy, a guy who doesn't understand anything about what a woman pours into the relationship does. And that's why it's important for both these women's conditions to be understood. For the first woman, she needs to understand this, to understand self-care, self-respect, and not get trapped into the imbalanced marriage she will have if she marries this guy who doesn't love her and has the capacity to love another, but not he's not going to pour that into her. And the second girl, the guy has done her a favor if he left her that day. Why? I'll tell you, because now she will be pushed into asking help from friends, and now she will because he has abandoned the children, I hope she can fight in the justice system that despite what word she used, I hope the judge will have the discernment to understand that she was look at the bank statements of both the partners, look at the expenses of both the partners, and then tell which of them was actually being selfish, which of them was money minded. I'm 90%, 99% sure the husband was the one who was just luxuriously spending on himself, when as a father he was supposed to be spending on his family, which he was not doing. Like, he would guaranteed have a track record of spendings where only a quarter of his spending was likely going into the wife and the family, whereas the rest of the spending was going somewhere else. Whereas with the wife, if you look at her track records, everything that she would have spent on in the last at least 3 years of her marriage, if not more, would have been about that relationship, about child caretaking, and very rarely would have been anything related to her own needs. Just look at her. Looking at her only, you can say she can't be spending anything on her own needs. And that's why people need to have empathy about her, understand that when she said finance, it was about her not having any finance at all to walk out of a marriage where she has nothing. If she has zero dollars in bank account, if she doesn't have the energy, if she's completely wrecked with constant child care taking, where the husband doesn't even give her even 2 hours of rest in the home life, or in the weekends at least. See, no wife, rational wife, good wife, understanding wife will expect a husband to after working 10 hours to do a lot of chores in the home life. But if you have been doing 10 hours outside the home, she was doing 10 hours inside the home work, where she's not even getting paid for the work she is doing. And then if she is also in the weekends wanting like just 2 hours of nap time, 2 hours extra sleep time, 2 hours extra gym time, like you, and here the guy will also, there are many men who do this, which my ex also did it. When I am sick, when I am unwell and I am unable to caretake of my health, all my exes have done it. As soon as I am sick, I'm not able to caretake my health. As soon as I'm not able to caretake my health, I can go from a slimmer size into a fatter size. As soon as I go into a fatter size, they are now attracted to all the other women who are thinner than me, want to get distracted by, and these are all distractions sent by the universe to test the mettle of your relationship only. It's not that universe is having fun at your expense. Universe is testing you. Do you really love this woman? Can you see her pain? Can you support her for her pain? Can you be with her in her pain? Can you take care of her when she is in pain? If the answer is no, 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 constantly from the guy, the woman will eventually one day end up being the woman like her. Some women will say they hate it, some women will not say they hate it, but the fact is they should be hating it, because this is a valid reason for hating a life where you sacrifice 10 years of your life for a man, gave everything to the man and the relationship and the life you wanted to build with that man, whereas while you were sacrificing majority of all your wishes, desires, job experiences, other potential in the relationship, what was the man doing? He was whiling away, dating and flirting with a girlfriend, or flirting with someone in the workplace. You would also see, because this is what the guy who left his wife after 10 years of marriage, the guy who I didn't get married to and would constantly leave me, this is what these men would be doing. In the meantime, whoever is the next hottest chick to flirt with them, he will be spending $10 on her rather than on his wife. All these could have happened. I don't know whether it definitely happened, but it is more likely to happen, and that's why only he immediately quit. He's deciding, oh, I am giving her $5. She says she's staying with me for money, let me go. He will go, and definitely, if the judge gives that guy 1 year, 2 years to stay away from this wife, you will see he will run into debt, which is what happened with my first ex-boyfriend. Like, I was paying so much in the relationship, and he doesn't mindfully spend, doesn't know how to mindfully spend. He ran into debt after a few years. So all of these things, the second one also, he doesn't run into debt only because he does gambling related things, or he borrows money from people. That's why he didn't run into debt. But every man I have been with where I have paid more for those men, they have eventually, after leaving me or cheating on me, or thinking that after leaving me I am going to be in financial distress, and they left me. Most of them, all of them left me at the point of time when I had zero earnings. I was supporting myself on my savings. All of them left me at that point of time, and despite them leaving me at that point of time, always the right help came from the universe, either via my changing of jobs, pivoting of jobs, taking the efforts to study and get a new job. So this guy, when he has quit this girl's life, the second girl, even though she's going through really bad time, if no human also supports her, her own faculties will support her. All the efforts and energy she was giving to a man, like he was also likely expecting a lot of sex from her, lot of other caretaking from her, which she was pouring into him. I can guarantee tell you 1 year after he has left her, her quality of life would have improved as soon as he left her, because now all the finances that she has to pour into is only into her children and her. Even with her meager savings or no savings, she can even she will be that resourceful to at least possibly go to a food kitchen and eat. If she lives in America, she'll find that she will go and ask for she can now ask for social security assistance if she doesn't have a job, which she can't do if she has a crutch in the form of a man who is just there with a $25 salary or $30 salary, but invests nothing or not even $5 in the relationship. So let's say she has $0 in her bank. If she applies for social security, she will at least get, I don't know how much US social security gives her, but she will get more than the $5 the guy was paying her for all their expenses. She'll definitely get it. So understand this about these women. When women say about money, she's not at all a greedy woman. There's nothing in her patterns that shows that she's a greedy woman, or she's the one who was asking her husband to do anything more than he was actually capable of providing to her, or as a spouse he should have provided to her, and as a spouse with a certain earning potential or certain love potential he could have provided to her. That's why the first women should wake up, because the guy has a potential to love, but just not the potential to love her and support her in a way she needs to be loved and supported. And the second woman also has a potential to find a good guy, better guy, someone, even if she marries in the future some other guy who has only $20 salary, but if that guy pours all his love and care and salary into jointly giving into the relationship, like how she has given for 10 years of her life, her love also has, and all the money she spent in the relationship also doesn't get wasted, because at that point of time it is about how you mutually worked with whatever you had, resources you had in your life. And it was nothing to do with what salary your partner had in the past, or your past partner had, or what was your past partner like. It is more to do with, in the present of her life, what is this new partner doing or capable of doing and bringing in her life. And I'm not saying she should marry someone in the future or sit in the hopes of marrying someone in the future. She should definitely learn, the second woman should learn from her experience of heartbreak of the husband walking away, to learn to discern which man to marry, which man to say yes to marrying, whether to marry any man in the present precarious status of her life, whether to fix her life in a way she can fix it, because she does have the resourcefulness to fix it, and she was fixing it resourcefully. It's just that no one could see her resourcefulness in her life, simply because she had a man attached to her who was doing nothing to help her or aid her or support her in a meaningful manner that he could have done it. I hope this video made sense, and that's why equal pouring of love is necessary. The equal pouring that doesn't have to be the man pours $20, woman pours $20, but the equal pouring where if the man is pouring $20, woman might be saving $10 and pouring $10. Or if the man pours $20, woman is pouring a lot of love and other additional things which are way more precious than a $20 salary. So I hope this makes sense. Anyone has questions, comments, please post question comments, and I'll also link some of these thoughts that I have presented in this video in other forms from my other social media pages as well, if anyone wants some extra food for thought on these topics. I hope you will have a great day, and if men want to understand women who are not greedy, understand this: a greedy woman and a not greedy woman both can have financial challenges, but the way a greedy woman works with finances and a not greedy woman works is very, very different. The way a caring partner talks about finances and a non-caring partner talks about it is very, very different. Even though the words may be used may be the same, personality type, the way they function, the quality of life they have the capacity to bring is very different. A quality of life of some good women that gets wasted if those good women are with partners who are not good to them or cannot have the capacity to be good towards them. I hope this made some good sense to people struggling with these relationship issues in their life, or wanting to understand and discern what is actually going on in their relationship, or if a judge is wanting to discern what is going on in a relationship where on the outside it might seem that the woman is being abusive or taking advantage of the man, when the reality might be something entirely very different. Or it can be vice versa, where sometimes it can also happen, some men also can fall into these relationships where they are giving a lot of emotion, care, time, caretaking, everything in the relationship, while the woman is doing hardly anything and just pursuing her own selfish goals. So all of these things, discernment, critical discernment is needed in the modern life, because many people have complex life challenges, complex traumas, complex financial abuse related situations, financial abuse which is not as straightforward as the abuse of the last century, where it was simply about man providing some money into the relationship. Now the financial abuse and oppression related factors are more than simply a financial contribution related factor, but how effectively that finances was getting contributed, if they were contributing even equal amounts, why that equal amount was still not enough amount. All of these narratives need to be understood now. Thank you very much and have a great day.